Political disagreements over Donald Trump and Joe Biden and a potentially hostile election season are fracturing America. The country is polarized and deeply divided over politics and culture, and the divisions have even crept into the church. Pastor Dan Darling addresses the problem in his most recent book, Agents of Grace: How to Bridge Divides and Love as Jesus Loved.
Christians are sadly, in many ways, we're reflecting the world and the fact that we're just as divided as everyone else. But, Jesus calls us to something better. He said that the world would know that we are his by the way we love each other.
Doctrinal issues are dividing denominations. Southern Baptists are at odds over the role of women in the pulpit. And disagreement over homosexual leaders in the church has split the United Methodist Church. Darling believes the Methodists are dealing with a cultural issue that's in conflict with biblical teachings and should not change church doctrine.
When you talk about sexual ethics, this is pretty clear in Scripture. It's something that Christians can't yield on, that we have to be resolute and stand for it with courage and with compassion, with courage and civility.
Pastor David Anderson is founder of Gracism Global, an organization committed to bridging divides in culture, faith, race, and wealth. He says leaders of both major political parties stoke anger and leverage division on issues like race and abortion when real solutions are needed.
What we have to ask is, how do you get to the bottom line of getting less abortions? How do you get to the bottom line of saying this is what God's ideal is, but this is the real that we live in?
And what is the role of the church? Darling urges Christians to stand for truth and show love for their neighbor, especially when they disagree. So, Dan, how do we disagree well?
Well, I think we disagree well by saying, when it's among Christians, to say, look, this brother or sister I disagree with on this. Here's why. But I love them, not back down on what we believe, but also we can treat our neighbors and see them as God sees them, as people made in the image of God and people for whom Jesus died.
Anderson contends America needs leaders who can bridge the real and the ideal.
What we need are bridge builders, and we need healers to say, listen, I understand both sides, but how can we go forward? Instead of left, instead of right, how do we go higher? And I think that's what we're called to as believers.
Gary Lane, CBN News.